friends. All right, so last time I did coding with Kent, I also was working on this form and worked on a Lambda function that would actually send the emails, and it's working awesome. I'm super happy about it. So for the last hour or so of the day that I'm working this week, I wanted to see if I could add some local storage persistence here. So as you're filling out this form, you I have Ken Wheeler in there. What the? I'm not sure where that came from. But yeah, so as you're filling out this form, here, there we go. Somehow, there we go. As you're filling out this form, you don't have a bunch of this stuff, whatever that is. You don't have to refresh and then everything's gone. It just will, yeah, will fix itself. So, goodness, I wish that the autocomplete or the I wish that didn't happen. This is really annoying. Test person, blah, 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 blah. Tim Cook, did you see that? Sent myself an email as a test. That was fun. So don't send all these people email addresses because that would not be nice. Okay, cool. So this is the way that this thing works. I've got here. So we've got this thing where you can submit things and all that. Okay, somebody's at my door. Gotta turn this thing on. Do not disturb, because and then you can ask an other and all of that stuff. So actually, quick little fun oh, by the way, I just donated blood. That's what this thing is. Fun fact about this subject thing right here. Let me show you the bug first, and I'll show you why my fix actually fixes it. So we're gonna go here. All these default values, just get rid of them. Or actually, no, not the default values. It was the key. Save that. Also, my Gatsby site takes a second to compile because and this warning is a false warning, but it takes a second to compile because I have like a crazy amount of blog posts and I'm using Gatsby MDX, which has not been optimized for performance, so it's actually quite slow and needs some work. So if you are looking for some really great stuff you can do as an open source contributor, Gatsby and MDX could use some performance improvements. Okay, so if I refresh here, we got that default value, my organization needs training, but if we switch to help or ask a question, we're going to get my organization needs training still. So why is that happening? Well, the reason that's happening is every time we render or we re-render, we're returning the new UI we want to have show up. Well, the new UI for this input, actually, we have the same input. And so like even though it's being rendered or that function's being called in a different place, sorry, Andrew Luca was said shift plus backspace removes autofill. You do function shift and delete, and yep, that'll get rid of all of those things you just have down. That works in the Omnibar too. But even though the input is getting that input element's getting created in a different place, as far as React is concerned, that looks to be the same element. So yeah, so how do we deal with that? Well, we could say, hey, React, this is a totally different instance of the element. And how do you do that with React? Well, you provide a key. This is not something that you do typically, but I added a key to all of these inputs to say, hey, even though this is the subject input here, and here this is the subject input for this scenario, it's actually a totally different instance. It should be a different instance of the input component. And so we provide a different key, and that works out really nicely. It just occurred to me that I might be able to solve this by putting this inside of a React fragment. So here, let's remove the key. No, there we go. So we remove the key from those so that it has the bug. But then if I put this inside a React fragment, React.fragment, and then specify a key, and this could be, yeah, we'll do options at value. So if they're, no, we'll do it this way. So we'll put it right here if there is some UI. There we go. This will be a React fragment. This will be a key, and that key will be options. Options value at the value dot display. Yep. Cool. So the display, like that's what these are, each one of these. So as long as those are unique, which they always should be, then I think we can avoid this problem as well, which is cool. So as that, it takes about 5 seconds to recompile the whole thing. The optimized version of Gatsby MDX should see this and be like, oh, you're only changing one file that's relevant. But I'm pretty sure it's like recompiling a ton of other files. Okay, so my organization needs training, submit a testimonial. I want to submit a testimonial, boom, boom, boom. Good. Cool. Okay, so that fixes it, and now I don't have to have a key everywhere. So basically all that's doing is saying, hey, whatever this UI is returning is actually different from whatever UI was returned before. That's a really easy way to solve that problem. So typically you don't use a key except when you're iterating over things, but the basic idea is that the this part of the tree is different, like should be unmounted and remounted, even if it looks basically exactly the same. Okay, cool. So with that solved, the next thing I want to do is I want to take the state of this form as we're making changes and save it to local storage. And then if we refresh, when this page is initially mounted, we should check local storage and see if there's anything in there. And if there is, then we want to populate the form with that. However, I'm not currently maintaining any of the state in this form. I pretty much just let it be as it is. And then when I hit send, then we go read all the values from the form and send it to my contact list thing. And that works out pretty well, except that makes it a little difficult for us because there's no model that's backing this form. And so like if there was a model and like two-way data binding, you know, even if it's me wiring that data binding up where I'm specifying the value using controlled inputs, I could do it that way. And that would like potentially solve this problem where I say, hey, the email subject should be this, regardless of whatever they typed in there. The email type should be that. We've got our link to the testimonial. So I could do it that way, but I'm not super... Oh, Andrew Luca just suggested I use the new kit on the block KV storage. That would be kind of cool probably, but I want this to work in people's browsers that are not super new. So storage, yeah, KV storage. First built-in module. So you import standard colon, I don't know what it is, KV storage. Yeah, that would be cool, except lots of people visiting my site probably don't have support for that. That's my guess. Support, what if, not support. You can actually implement that. Ooh, import maps. But import maps would need to support. Yeah, I'm just gonna, I mean, that's fun and all, but I'm gonna just stick with local storage because I honestly don't see why I would use KV storage over that anyway. What are the benefits? Ooh, structured serialized type. That's cool. So you don't have to serialize it to a string. That's nice. I like that. I will play with that another day. Today we're just gonna use local storage. Okay, cool. So yeah, what I had initially done was I added a use effect and I added an onChange handler to the form, which will fire anytime any of the form elements are changed, which is pretty cool. And I would just, anytime you change anything, we'll set it in local storage. But then I realized that we would miss out, like if I was on, well, yeah, so when I come to this page, I'm gonna land on the first option, which is Enterprise Workshop Inquiry. And that's fine, but if you, like the last time you were on this page, it was submit a testimonial, and then you refresh, you're going to be on this page, and the DOM nodes don't exist in the form for me to set those values at runtime. So like this, the conventional solution would be, oh, well, then let's just make a model and set the value explicitly, and then we save that model in the database, and then or in the local storage, and then when this is loaded, we just base all of this stuff off of the explicit value that's in our model. And that might be the way that I end up going, but I want to try something else first that seems kind of interesting to me, and that is to make each one of these individually savable to local storage. So that's the idea here. So what I'm going to do is, and actually I'll show you the API that I want. We'll try it with the name first. So the API that I want is local storage form control, and we'll put that in there. That's the API that I'm looking for, where it would just accept a React element as a child, and then it'll just magically make that thing work locally or in local storage. So the name is where it's like how it's going to determine where to put it. The name field, I think that makes sense. Or maybe we could provide an ID or something, but we'll stick with just the name property. We'll have like some sort of prefix and then the name, and that's what how we'll save it into local storage and retrieve it from local storage. So let's see what it would look like to implement this component. We'll see if that works at all. So we're going to take children, and technically it only makes sense to have one child in here, but I'm not going to really worry about validating that right now. We're just playing around with stuff, see if this even works. So I'm going to say return react.clone element children at 0. Oh, children. So we got to unarrayify it because actually children should just be the element. But it like, yeah. So it'll only really be the element. A situation where it might not is if you had an extra space right there, then children's going to be an array that has a space and then an input, but Prettier removes that space. So I think we're okay to just rely on the fact that children is the single element. Or we could just make this really quick. Unwrap is the element, and array.is array L. So if it's an array, then we'll take L at 0. Otherwise, we'll take the L. That just makes me feel a little more comfortable. We've got code like that in Downshift. Okay, so we're going to clone the element, and we're going to tack on a couple of props to the element. So one prop that I'm going to need is onChange, so that I can keep local storage updated. The other prop that I'm going to need is a ref, so that I can attach a ref to the input, so I can set the value explicitly. I could also maybe actually what would be better is to explicitly define the value. That'd probably be better. So change it to a controlled input. So first off, I'm going to need some state. So we're going to say value and set value react.useState. And we'll set the value to probably, oh yeah, so Andrew Luca just suggested using react.children.only. That's actually a great idea. Let's do that, react.children.only. Yeah, that should work, I think. I don't actually use React Children, and I think that's capitalized. React.children. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, I don't actually use React's built-in utilities all that much. But that's probably pretty good use case for that. Okay, so we're going to set the value explicitly. Our initial value should probably be the default value. So we're going to set children, or here, let's do our form control equals React children only children, and then we'll put form control in here, and form control dot props dot default value. So if that's defined, then that will be set to our initial value, which is great. And then we're going to need an onChange, and define that here. So function onChange, And this is actually just going to call set value from the element target value. And yeah, I think that's probably good. So now we need a React effect here, and you know what? This is small enough. I'm just going to inline it. This will be e set value, e target value. Go. So now I'm going to say react.use effect, and this effect I want it to run anytime the value changes, and we'll say if there's a value. Otherwise, we're going to want to remove the thing from local storage, but we'll say window.local storage, set item, and I'm going to accept a prop here called ls key, so local storage key, and we'll have that default to so there are a couple ways I could do this. Let me show you one way that I could do this, but I'm not going to do it this way. We could say, like, do this form control thing right here. Pretty wild. And then we can say that the ls key defaults to form control dot name. And I want to prefix it with something, right? So, I do like, I don't know, lsfc. It really doesn't matter. But then that's our local storage key. We can set the item with the local storage key and then the value. Otherwise, window.local storage, remove item ls key. Okay, so that's cool. That actually would work fine. The reason I'm not going to do that is because I feel like it's kind of weird. It's like form control is sort of a prop, but it's actually not really a prop. It just makes it pretty easy for us to generate this ls key because we want to get a handle on that form control. So Andrew Luca is asking, would it be better to have this onChange call into local storage to update local storage? Not a bad idea, and that's how I would do it with class components. But I found that the more I am using the use effect, the less buggy my stuff is. So anytime there's a side effect, like my change handlers now, they pretty much always just set some state, and I use my do all my side effects in React use effects, and it just seems to work out better. I'll see if I can come up with a more concrete example or an explanation for that in the future. But yeah, so this works. It's a little bit confusing. People might think, wait, a form control? I can pass a form control if I want to. I guess that'd be okay. I'm gonna leave it. We could rewrite this a little bit and have ls key not have a default, and then do like a imperative kind of determine whether there should be a default later. But I'll just leave this. It's fine, right? Should be fine. Okay, cool. I mean, we should propagate up on change event. Oh, yes, good comment, Andrew. So here, let's take an actually, yeah, so the onChange, we're overriding the form controls onChange right here. And that is not great, because if the form control has an onChange, then we don't want to override it. So one thing that Downshift has is this, what is it? All utility. Let's see if I probably don't have it in my clipboard. Call all, nope. But here, we'll just write that really quick. Call all. It's going to take any number of functions, and it's going to return a function that takes args, any number of args. Then I'll say functions.for each, and that'll be a function. And we'll say if the function exists, then we'll call the function with the args for each one of those functions. Cool. So now I can say the onChange is call all form control dot onChange, and then our own onChange, and that composes those together. Kind of nice. Cool. And yeah, and then the value here, yeah, if you want, like, if we wanted to let people specify or control the value, so if the form control, oh, this needs to be .props. Yeah, so props on change. And I don't like the way that's being formatted. Let's see if we can change that. No, rats. Oh well. Oh, is it possible to zoom in a tad? Yeah, I certainly can. In fact, you know what? I feel bad about this. I totally forgot to turn on my live stream config. There we go. Whoa. Okay, that's maybe a little bit too aggressive. Let's do zoom level of 1. That's much better. Sorry about that. Thanks for mentioning that. Yeah, thanks Andrew for the props on change. Important. So yeah, for the value, if somebody wanted to be able to control the value themselves, let's try this. I mean, we don't have a use case for that right now, but I'm kind of interested in just exploring it. So so in a real app, I would not deal with this because it's like it's not a problem, and so now we're making our code more complex for something that's not a problem. But I'm kind of interested to see what this would look like. So what we're going to do is we still need to maintain our state, but what I'm going to say is if the form control dot props dot value is not equal, or so if there is a value, type of is not equal to undefined. Is that right? Because that makes that does a string, right? Node type of undefined is, yeah, string undefined. Yeah, I promise I know JavaScript. Okay, so if it's not undefined, so somebody has defined it, and that form control.props.value is not the same as the value that we have, then we're going to call set value right here with form control.props.value. And what that's going to do is it'll trigger a re-render right here. So this is kind of like get derived state from props. That's basically what this is. That's the hooks solution to that problem, is to set value here. So typically it's not a great idea to synchronize props and state, but this isn't a typical use case component. So there you go. And also I'm not even sure if this is going to work very well, so I may just throw this away. So we'll see. Yeah, so we'll see what that does. From 2009, we can compare directly to undefined without type of, oh, right. Thank you. That is even better. There we go. Okay. Old habits die hard. You know what? Actually, in 2009, I wasn't coding. So that's fun. I was on my mission serving people in Missouri and Kansas. Fun stuff. At that time, it was a browser bug. That undefined was mutable. LOL. That's so funny. Oh, good times, good times. All right. Sweet. So we set our value. Yeah, I think that should work. So then as the value changes or the key changes, interesting. So if the key were to change, then we should remove that key. So actually, let's see here. The key changes. React use effect. Well, let's just hope that the key never changes. There is a bug there where if somebody were to make a change to the key, that we would just leave something in local storage forever, which would not be stellar. So, interesting thing about Robin. I don't know how to say your last name, Robin. Robin Malfate. That's the first time I've tried to say it out loud. Said not equal to void 0. Ship it. That's, yeah, we could do that. Void 0. I'm getting an ESLint warning saying don't use void. That's fine. Undefined. We'll let our minifier use void 0. Okay, cool. So I feel pretty good about this component. Hopefully it'll work. Let's just see if we can. We're wrapping our input. It has a name. It doesn't have a value or an on-change, so we're not going to get a manual test of those things. But let's just see if we can change the name input and then refresh and see if that works. So I'm going to say, hello world. Let's just see first if it's even getting saved. Whoops. Oh, interesting. This might be an HMR thing. So, whoa. There it is. OSFC undefined. Hello world. Okay, let's clear all that out. clear this out, and we have a bug already. So let's find out. Form control .name .props. There we go. .props. That will fix it. What is a controlled input? That's a great question. Controlled input React. Uncontrolled components. This might describe it a little bit. Oh, here we go. That's interesting. In most cases, we recommend using controlled components. Huh. I actually have the opposite recommendation, but there you go. Here's the Robin, you're hilarious. Yeah. So the you can find the uncontrolled docs here. This is actually, I prefer uncontrolled components. And then actually, if you want to get into advanced React here, and actually, I think I've got a blog post here too. Can't see dots. Control props. I kind of described the pattern a little bit in here. That gets a little bit deeper into some things. And yeah, so this tutorial will take you to this video. And I think, yeah, control, yeah, there it goes. So this course right here will give you like a really deep dive into that idea. So yeah, kind of fun stuff. Okay, cool. So I think I fixed that. I saved and it refreshed, right? Did I save? Yeah. Okay, so if I say page, and we're getting a warning because it changed. Oh, because the value, yeah, that's what's going on. Let's see what the default value, are we saying default value? Nope, no default value. So what we should do here is we'll say or empty string. That's why that warning is happening. So we're saying the value, what changes something from a controlled to uncontrolled is if you specify a value prop. And what we were having was a value prop that was undefined, and then it got defined when we set that, set the value. And so that's why we got the warning. Now we set it to an empty string, and so we should be good to go. There we go. Hello world. Cool. All right, sweet, we're good. And then, you know, this won't set anything because we don't have that wrapped in anything. So good. Now we can try this local storage form control around this as well. And if I saved it, it should refresh, and the name should be reinitialized to hello world when the form loads in a moment. Rats. It did not. Now, why did it not? Let us see. So it's because the value is initially undefined. So what we need to do is we need to first, when we initialize this state, we need to read it from local storage first to see if it's in there. So we'll do this, return window.localStorage.get item ls key. Otherwise, it'll be the default value. Otherwise, it'll be an empty string. And yeah, whoa. Okay, cool. Does that make sense? So this one, or this one, or that one. Yep, Robin got it. You're all like 15 seconds behind me, which is unfortunate because it'd be really cool if you could like tell me those things. And yeah. So we're going to say hello there, and then I'm going to refresh. And boom, there it is. Nice, nice. And we'll see our email at example.com. Refresh and email at example.com. Now this is where things are going to get tricky. So I'm going to skip over that one first. And we're going to just do the rest of the ones that are in here. The subject selector might be a little bit different. So we want our company name, and then local storage form control. That. And then, and you notice that some of these have the same name, and that's because they're showing different based off of what type of email you want to send. And I'm okay with that persisting across these different types. Local storage, form control. Actually, I might think about that, and I may actually specify a different key for each one of those. So we'll see about that. Local storage, form control. I can see how this might be a little bit nicer to just do one that's for the whole form and just have a model that represents all these. That could be nice. But we're just gonna keep plowing ahead with this. And we've got our input. Okay. I did not know you could pass a function to use state initial value. Today I learned, yay! Select also gets a value and default value. It should work the same. Sweet. Very good, very good. And then we've got this one, local storage. I love showing off the fact that I'm using BRs all over the place. Yeah, welcome to the World Wide Web of yesteryear. I'm still using BRs. Okay, and then here's the count up text area. We'll see about this one. Local storage form control. I'm pretty sure that'll work, but I can't remember exactly what the API for that is. Okay, cool. Whoa! We've got some stuff going on here. Interesting. Okay, so this one gets set to local storage, but it was the default value. So I'm not sure if that's what I want it to do. So I'm going to go back and we're going to change this from accepting the default value. Yeah, what we're going to do is I'm going to remove those. And we'll set the value to be, I need to control whether the form is in a dirty state, because if it's not in a dirty, well, no, if they provide a default value, and the value, but if the value is an empty string, then the default value shouldn't apply, I think. Let's go find out really quick. So if we're just gonna work this really quick. And I'm going to have input value is an empty string and default value is I. Yeah, so if the value is provided at all, then the default value won't apply. But I don't want it to save into local storage until they've actually made a change to the form input. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to have some state for is dirty or is changed. I don't like using the word dirty because I feel like 6-year-olds will laugh at it. So we're going to say has changed. That has changed is React use state false. So initializes to false. And then in our onChange handler, we'll set that true. And this will need to be wrapped inside of curly braces. Okay, so then, wait, that's set. Whoops. There we go. So then we'll say if has changed. And then we got to put has changed in there. Okay, cool. Somebody just asked if I'm a patron at CodeSandbox. Absolutely, I am. What was that short URL for CodeSandbox? It's kcd.im/rsc or RCS. Yeah, React Code Sandbox. It's just like has the dependencies that I like to have and just remove some stuff that I don't like to have. So that's what that is. Okay, cool. So now let's just refresh really quick. We're getting an error. Value should not be null. Oh, okay. Why is it null? Oh, because we're getting it from local storage and it doesn't exist in local storage. So, I think we want to take it back to the default. Yeah, so we want to restore this stuff. We're going to say the stuff that I had earlier is good now. Form control dot props dot default value or empty string. I think that'll fix that problem. And I'm actually going to clear all this stuff out. And we'll see what to do about this. refreshing. I've got some bugs here too that makes hot module replacement not work very I see. Okay, so they're getting mad at me that I have that what I'm cloning has a default value. So we're going to say default value is undefined to override it. I'm not sure if that works. I may have to specify it as null. Yeah. Yeah, I wish that I could live stream like really like maybe Twitch is better at this and maybe I should switch over to Twitch. A lot of people have told me I should. Okay, so I don't know if it already refreshed or not. So let's try this again. Refresh, boom, problem. Right, element. Huh. Yeah, so that's not working. So if we do null, will that be sufficient? Otherwise, I may have to manipulate props object, I guess. I don't even know what I would do about that. So here comes the refresh. Boom. Now read length of null. Boo. That's interesting. So I'm not sure what to do about this. I guess this is the hack. Here we're gonna do hack props dot default value. Delete it. And we'll just see if that works, and maybe we can see if there's a better way to do this. But it's getting angry because form control, when we're cloning this element, form control has props already, and then we can copy some new props or override some props here, but form control props default value exists, and so I can't override it because then I'm providing it and it's not wanting me to provide it. And I can't remove it, but it's being provided, and because I'm providing the value too, then it's getting mad at me. So that's what's going on there. Cannot delete property default value. Boo. Yeah, and an empty string I'm pretty sure is going to be the same problem, but let's just try default value as an empty string. What I might have to do is get the type and just create a new React element based on the type. Yeah. Okay, so let's try this. We're going to get our type and props from form control. And then we'll return react.create element type and props, except we're going to do const props without default value. And we'll destructure, and we'll say default value ignored. There we go. Will be your props without default value, and then this object of props. Get rid of the default value there. Add a comma. Move that. That should work. I don't like it, but it should work. So then this will refresh, and boom, still having trouble. Huh, that's odd. Maybe there's something else going on here. So I'm going to copy this, save that in my clipboard. We'll go back to what I liked, and we'll see if maybe there was a different problem. Here, that's what I liked right there. Okay, so yeah, let's find that text area. Okay, I think I should have looked at this earlier. Aha! So we are specifying the default value there, and that's what is maybe causing the problem. I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, this is like pretty hacky, this count up text area thing. I should probably rewrite it to be something else. But because it's only being used one place, I'm just going to do the local storage form control around the text area. And hopefully that solves our problem. We'll go to the count up text area, get rid of this thing here, and see if that fixes our issues. You know what's cool about donating blood, aside from like actually saving people's lives, is they give you like snacks. Ooh. Now you're gonna listen to me chew. Sorry. I'll stand over here while I chew. Yeah. Okay, I think I'm gonna try. Where did that stuff go? I'm just gonna comment this stuff out for a sec. We'll just try this now that we have it put in the right place and see if that solves the problem. Different component. Context consumer. Yeah, that's true. It is saying context consumer. Okay, so I'm getting some comments and I feel like some of them could be like really key, but I'm not sure what they are. So I'm gonna keep going with what I think is correct, but you can give me more context if I'm missing something. I did see the error message said context.consumer, and maybe I should have looked into that a little bit closer. Let's try that. Let's do that really quick because I think this is gonna work. Yep, there it is. But I don't like the way it's implemented. Oh, yeah, default value undefined should work now. Let's try that. Let's do that because I don't like the way this one works. So if I can go default value undefined, and we'll do that. Let's see. Okay, cool. And then if we clear this out and refresh, yeah, okay, cool. It's working. Nice, nice. We just were wrapping the wrong element. I was passing a default value of undefined to the count up text area, and that was not getting passed correctly for some reason, where default value gets set to undefined here. I'm not sure why, but it wasn't for some reason. So there you go. And we do have an on-change handler here, so we are forwarding that on properly, which is good. So we'll double check that. So I'm going to copy this, boom, 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 boom. So you see that? Boom, that's what our on-change handler does. Is it shows that little number. Kind of cool. Check this out. So the way that I make it work, I think this is pretty sweet. So we just keep track of the length. That's all that I really care about. And then we determine what level we should be at, which determines our opacity, our color, and the font weight. And but I didn't want it to like start showing up until you hit like 600 words or something, because if you're at like 500, I don't want to stress you out or whatever, and you get to 500 and you're good, that's fine. But once you get past 600, you should start being like, oh, this is starting to get kind of long. And yeah, so that's what this level thing does, is it does math.pow on the length. So it says length to the 6th power divided by the maximum length to the 6th power. And that gives us more of an exponential slope. So it gets even more and more intense the longer it gets. I played around with a couple different numbers, but yeah, that was pretty cool. I like that. Cool. Yeah, thank you so much, Robin, for helping us with that default value undefined. That did work. So good. I'm pretty happy with this. Now I can remove it all, and boom, it's out of local storage. Sweet. So the email subject does not get changed, and if I refresh, it should stay there because that's the default value. And then when I change it, then it goes into local storage, and if I refresh, it'll stay there until I remove it, and then I refresh, and now it's the default value, but it's not in local storage, which is sweet. Then if I go to submit a testimonial and then I change that, and then watch this, I'm going to refresh and it's going to go back and it's going to be, I want to submit a testimonial. So that's not great. Let's see. Yeah, this is where I'm thinking it'd probably be good to specify a different key value the key for local storage for each one of those email subject inputs, because they are technically different, so it would make sense. So yeah, let's go. And then we also need to store the subject selector in local storage as well. So actually, let's just try that one really quick, because it might just work. So local storage form control, we're going to put that subject selector down in here. We'll just see if that works. I once wrote a form that kind of did this, but checked children recursively. That was horrible. Yeah, that does not sound like a lot of fun. So I was thinking we could potentially change this to use context, and then we could put it all into a single field in local storage. If this were a pretty big field, maybe I'd want to do that. I don't know. But we would use context to do that. Yeah, so sweet, we got the type set. And if I refresh, ta-da! Except I'm getting the wrong fields. Okay, so that's not good. So the value, we set it to be the default value. So we need it to actually be the value that's being specified through props value. This is interesting, an interesting problem. Yeah, I think that's a good suggestion there, Andrew. Let's make this local storage form control happen directly around the subject or the text area, or the select. So we'll say local storage form control. And hopefully that fixes our little issue. So we'll refresh. I wrote it when context was like spooky, so yeah, recursive it was. Yes, not very fun. Okay, so we're still getting a problem, and that is because the value that's being stored with the local storage form control and restored and everything is being managed separately from the value that's managed in here, which is why it's rendering the wrong thing here, because the value is separate. So I wonder if we let me think about this for a second. I have that feeling where my stomach is like totally not thirsty, but my mouth is super thirsty. Yeah, that's the feeling right now. And so my stomach's like, why are you drinking more water? My mouth is thirsty. I ate a cookie. Classic. Okay, so, so we have mismatched values. And the one that we want is a local storage form control. That's the one that has the correct value. So like if we wrap the whole thing and then accepted a value and an on change, and then here we just need to know what the value is. So I'm gonna just rewrite this a little bit. So we're gonna go back and put the local storage form control stuff around our whole doodad here. Local storage form control around this subject selector. And then our subject selector is going to accept a value. And it's not going to do this stuff. The handle change, we don't need that anymore, actually. We don't need this anymore. We don't need this anymore, because we now accept the value. Okay, cool. I think that should work. Yeah. So let's see if that does work. So FR3FOW or U is asking, what is your opinion on TypeScript? My opinion on TypeScript is that it is great and you should use it. I haven't had time to move my stuff over to TypeScript yet. And honestly, I might not because I'm on a one-person team working on this along with like open source contributors. And I feel a little bit of friction. I'm trying to move really fast. I feel a little bit of friction with TypeScript myself, just mostly because of my inexperience with it. But I definitely feel like it's a good idea on big teams with big projects. I feel like it's a worthwhile thing to learn about. Okay, so we got this stuff displaying properly, which is great. But our email type is not being displayed properly. So, So the value here, oh, we just need to pass the value. There we go. Value equals value. And that should fix it for us. And I'm also, like, when we're done with this, I want to add some query params for each one of the field names. So if we said name is your name and email is your @email.com and whatever else. That way, mostly I want to do type is testimonial or whatever the case may be. So cool. Help, ask a question. We're good. And then we I'm going to get rid of all this. Boom. And that removes it from local storage. We go to submit a testimonial and that sets that. We go to enterprise workshop inquiry, other, sweet. And we're getting all of those updates. And I don't know how we're going to clear this out of local storage. And I don't know if I really want to. I think it's fine as it is. So like if you are contacting me, I guess repeatedly, that makes sense. I just noticed that the subject here is not 100% width. And so this is the situation where maybe it'd be a good idea to make a named component and just use that so I don't have to worry about these inconsistencies because I just simply forgot to put my CSS prop there. But yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about this. I think this is going to work out. So I'm going to commit what I have and then yeah, look at that. Sweet, cool. So Joe Schmo at joe@example.com. And this is my message with Markdown. Markdown works in this. I should probably like add a little note. Markdown works. Let's do that. So I've got it all right here. And then if I go here, we'll say in the label or after the label, right here. And we'll do a small with string. Actually, you know what? We'll just do CSS margin left n. Or how much? I think I've got another one where I'm doing something like this. Optional. Margin left is 6. That seems to work. Markdown. Yeah. Sweet. So I've got it all saved in local storage. Then it's going to refresh. It takes 7 seconds to rebuild the whole thing. And again, that's because Gatsby MDX is not optimized yet. It's pretty slow. It's pretty new. Gatsby itself is crazy fast. Okay, cool. So it's all saved. Good. I'm going to commit this. Git add, commit, add local storage to for contact form. And yeah, I feel pretty okay about that. I mean, yeah, like this isn't a bad thing here. This might be like problematic potentially, but it's probably okay. probably. Yeah, because if that value changes, yeah, like, I don't know, that piece might not be a good thing. But it's probably okay. It's probably okay. It's probably fine. Cross our fingers that it's fine. I should probably write tests, but you know, I'm not going to right now. You might need some checks if you remove a type and the users still had an old type in local storage. That's true. Yeah, what would I do? What would happen in that situation? So if we change this to old type, and then I refresh, and let's see what happens. Yeah, it'll just default to the initial one, and then we switch to testimonial, and it'll just be fine. So I think we'll probably be fine in that scenario. We say whatever, then we go, we refresh, and then we go back to Enterprise Workshop, and we get whatever right there still, which is actually, I like that. Yeah. So hold on a second. Yeah, I forgot to fix that. That's what I need. So I need to go to all of our name is subject, all these subject ones. And I want to make these have a different ls key. So this is our training subject. So it's going to be ls form control training subject. That's what we do. And one be our meal. Fine. Actually, you know what? Oh, whoops. We will make this one our, oh yeah, this is our help subject. And we're going to add one to this. This is going to be our testimonial URL. To see if we need to be explicit about anything else. Oh, actually, they're all, find all the ones that are not explicit. So this is also going to need less e, our other subject. Okay, so then this one is our body. That one's fine as it is. And the name and the email. Subject selector. I think those should all be fine. Yeah. The name. Yeah, I think the rest of those are fine. Okay, cool. So I'm going to just amend that commit, and we should be good to go. Question about hook. Setting state into a subscribe callback always is showing initial state. What could be the problem? No dependencies. Sorry, Andrew, I'm not sure I understand your question exactly, or whether that next comment you have is relevant to that. I read Dan's blog post, and it was recommended to set state using callback in use state. You mean to initialize state using a callback? I did not read Dan's blog post. I fall asleep reading long blog posts, and nothing against Dan. I think he's great, but I don't see any reason why you'd do this. That doesn't make any sense to me. You only really want to use a callback form inside use state when what you're doing could be potentially expensive, like accessing something from local storage. You don't want to do that on every render, just on the first time. That's why you make a function out of it. Yeah, so I don't know if that was an answer to your question or not, but Cool. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is read something from the query string, and I actually do that on the home page. So if you go to or we'll just do it from kentcdodds.com/subscribed. Subscribe. There we go. Thanks for subscribing. Ta-da! That's nice, right? So that's what that is. And it's a button, so you can get it to go away. Boom, go away. Cool. So, yeah, so I'm gonna just look at that and see how I parse the URL there. I'm actually also, I have another page here, Zencastr, and this parses the query string with a lib parse query string thing. Pretty sure I just ripped that off of, did I do that? I think I probably just ripped this off of a Stack Overflow thing. But yeah, it's really small and that's why I wanted it. So anyway, we're gonna pull that in. So import parse query string from, I know that there are like 40 NPM modules to do this, by the way. Okay, so Andrew just updated his question. So I'm gonna pause here really quick and address that. So he was saying in your setter, you're going to, it's generally a good idea to use the updater function form. And that is only really necessary if you need to know what the previous state was to update the next state. In our case, we don't need to know what the previous state was here, or here, or here. And so we're not using the callback form. But if you do need to reference the previous state, then 9 times out of 10, actually maybe 100% of the time, it's better to just use the state updater form, because this function will actually get past the previous state, so previous value, and then you can reference the previous value to update the new state. So yeah, okay, cool. So let's bring in that parse. Oh yeah, it's also native in JS now using URL search params. That's true. Let's see what the browser support is. URL search params. For browser support, Internet Explorer users get the too bad. So I'm gonna, as cool as it would be to use the native thing, I'm just gonna use my little parser. Parse query params from lib parse query string. Parse query string. Okay, cool. So this actually, thanks to the fact that we're doing this local storage form control, I'm actually going to refactor this name from local storage form control to local storage and query param form control. Oh goodness gracious. That is an awful name. All right, somebody make a pull request and give me a better name for that, because like wowza. But that's what it's going to be for now. So yeah. We're going to do yeah, I want to use this ls key for the query param name, except I don't want the lsfc colon thing in front of it. So so I guess consider local storage and query params implementation details. Yeah, I think that's probably like a but I'm not sure how to write something that's generic that describes that, what it's doing. So form control, oh, I see, that was the suggestion. I thought about that too, but it like controlled form control. Okay. I don't know. Kind of what I'm thinking is query param name, and then we'll take the ls key, the default, and replace lsfc : with nothing. That's kind of what I want to do. I love that. Okay, this is probably one of my favorite things about destructuring. I know that some people who aren't familiar with how you can use these defaults might find this confusing, but I just love this. Like half of my function exists inside the stored form control. Okay, we can. I'll do that. I'll do that. Still not like technically stored in the query param name, but that's fine. Stored is, I like that. Okay, so we got the query param name, and we're gonna parse the query string in here, and I know that that's probably not going to ever change. So what I'm gonna do is query params equals parse query string window.location.search. But I don't want to run that code every time. I don't know. I'm prematurely optimizing. Don't judge me. But we're going to do this window location search, and we'll make this that. And mutation doesn't re-render the code. Okay. You're right, Dan. You're right. I'm prematurely optimizing anyway. So I wouldn't even, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, cool. So we just get our query params every time, and goodness gracious, it's not a lot of code, so it's fine. So with our query params, we're going to get our query param value equals query params at query param name, and we'll initialize it to the query param value or local storage thing or that or the other. Okay, cool. Okay, good. So next, I can pre-fill the URL. Once it refreshes, there we go. We're going to say name equals Tim Cook. There it is. Nice. And email equals tim@example.com. Yeah, I would do tim@apple.com, except if I accidentally really sent this, then that would like legit go. It CCs the person who puts their email in here. And that would not be good. I wouldn't want to send Tim an email. That would be super embarrassing. Probably wouldn't get to him, but like, I mean, let's be honest, but still. Okay, but then we can say and type equals testimonial. There we go. But if I change it to help, then it'll be help ask a question. It'll remain what they had last selected, but so I'm fine. I actually see this as a feature to change it for this time around, but not actually change it unless they explicitly change it in local storage. So then we could say subject equals, okay, so this is where things get tricky because this is going to be a different subject for each type, which is actually fine. LSE equals help subject. There we go. Help, or yeah, help subject equals what up dog, and body equals I need some help really bad. Markdown works. Boom. Nice. That was easy. Okay, cool. So I'm good with that. I think we're pretty set. This might be something I could use in the future for like a dev tips live stream to show you adding tests for this kind of a component. That'd be interesting. But yeah, I feel pretty solid about this. So we're gonna git status, git add that thing, git commit that thing with the message of query string support for contact form. And then we'll push the heck out of that. And we're going to close this out. You can now set up short URLs as redirect links with query params for deep linking into a specific email type. Neat. Yes. That's exactly what I'm thinking of doing. And in fact, my plan is to have type equals testimonial. And yeah, and then make a short URL out of that and then tweet that and be like, hey, people, you want to give me a testimonial? Like, have you liked my stuff that I've made? I'd really appreciate a testimonial. Yeah, and then just be like kcd.im testimonial. And then I can add an S for the page that takes you to all the testimonials and stuff. That'd be cool. So another thing that I'm planning on doing with my website is adding like a little indicator up here that shows you two numbers. First number is how many people are on the page you're looking at. The second number is how many people are on kentcdodds.com right now. And then the next natural next thing to do would be to add like live chat or something, which might be kind of fun. And maybe I'll do something like that. But yeah, for right now, I just think it'd be kind of cool to be able to see who, like, oh, there are like 3 other people looking at, you know, this page. That would be, I don't know, just kind of interesting to know. And then I also thought about like, what if we, like when you come to my site for the first time, you choose a team. So you're red, blue, or green, or blue or yellow, or whatever. You're one of 3 teams. You choose a team, and then we show numbers for each one of those teams. And so you say, oh, we've got 3 red people on the site and only 2 blue. So ha ha ha. I don't know. I thought that'd be kind of fun. Kind of gamify it a little bit. Kind of fun. Okay, cool. So feeling pretty slick, pretty good about all of this. So we're gonna, we're gonna just let that go. And it is almost 5 o'clock, so I'm gonna jump out. But this was fun. Hopefully it was fun for you. It's definitely fun for me. And yeah, I hope you have a wonderful evening, wonderful day tomorrow, and wonderful weekend. And I will see you all next week. Have fun. And actually, I'm not sure what my blog post is going to be on Monday. So if anybody wants to, oh, actually, I got to go right now. But tweet me if you have any suggestions on what I should blog about this Sunday or this Monday. Because yeah, I'd be open to suggestions. Okay, I'll see you all later. Goodbye.